third generation family company and super deep rooted in the Lehigh Valley. It was started by my step grandfather 50 years ago next year, so 1977.
Welcome to YMI Talking, a podcast where the guests are so good, you'll wonder why the host is even talking. In each episode, you will hear one of the leaders of the Lehigh Valley's vibrant business hub. They will tell you the keys to their success, the mistakes they've made, and what they have in store for the future. Here is the host of YMI Talking, from YMI Insurance, Jimmy Honachik.
All right, that's me, Jimmy Honachik, and this is a special surprise bonus awesomeness. We have Modesty Angelopoulos in the Allentown studio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so usually Emily's the one here, but she's on vacation.
She is.
So you very gracefully agreed to come in and help out.
I did.
So thank you.
Of course.
How was the trip down here?
It was good.
Good.
No traffic. It was nice.
Yeah, good.
The only thing was sun. Lots of sun driving this way.
I will take the sun right now because it's gotten cold again, and I hate it.
I do too.
By the time this airs, hopefully it's warm again.
True.
But right now, it's the worst.
Just our last couple of days.
Yeah, just give me spring.
Yeah.
Am I asking for so much?
They gave us a fake spring.
Fake spring, yeah. Our guest today, Dylan Panebianco, is awesome. So, like I said on the podcast, so well spoken.
Yes.
Like makes me realize I got a lot of work to do.
Same.
But you can understand the success that Boyle has had. He clearly cares about the business, is very thoughtful, and they care about their people. And I'm very happy to see that they've had the success that they have. Yes. As I said, I want to build something just so they can do it.
Yes.
So let's come up with a building idea.
Sounds good.
All right, good.
Let's think.
All right, well, let's go live. It's such a great episode. And here we go with Dylan. Here we go with a new episode from season 4. Season 4, that's crazy that we are this far along and that it's taken us this long to get you on the podcast. Boyle Construction, I see your signs everywhere. You guys are doing so much good work in the Lehigh Valley, so it is an honor to get you on here. Dylan Panebianco, you are the Vice President of Operations at Boyle Construction. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Jimmy. It's an honor to be here. Really excited.
Absolutely. So let's start with Boyle Construction. Like I said, you guys are everywhere. How did you get here, and what's kind of the story of Boyle?
Yeah, for sure. It's a third generation family company and super deep rooted in the Lehigh Valley. It was started by my step grandfather 50 years ago next year.
Wow.
So 1977, coming up on a big.
Are you guys doing anything for 50?
We did a 800 person party for 45. So I imagine it's going to be something special for 50.
I don't even know 800 people. That's incredible.
Yeah, neither do I. I was meeting people for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to do a big shindig probably down at Arts Quest next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, started very organically. Relationships, like everything starts in the Lehigh Valley, is kind of how it all started with my grandfather. And it was a modest business doing tiny little fit outs. My stepfather, the current president, Sean Boyle, took over in the early 90s, and he grew it to what it is today. And, for a long time, it was smaller work, kind of fit out based construction. And then right around the time that the Great Recession hit in the late 2000s, we had to pivot a little bit. We just needed to be a little bit more flexible. And during that period, we added a whole bunch of carpenters and kind of grew our self-perform arm. So instead of just doing some subcontracted work, we added about 40 carpenters to allow us to do our own construction.
So at a time when I would imagine the industry is shrinking, you guys are actually investing and growing.
Yeah, it started organically with the staff that we had. We were always really lucky to have skilled tradesmen that were running our field work. Mm-hmm. So out of necessity from the work slowing down, they just started to put on the tool belts and help around. But we saw that was a really sustainable model because we can better serve the needs of our clients and be a little bit more dynamic in those downturns if our field team can put on the tool belt when they need to. So it was definitely an idea that was kind of born out of that tougher time, which was neat.
Yeah. And so then how did you progress from that point?
Yeah. So again, going back to kind of what makes Boyle, we are client focused. We like to say we are a part of our client's success story, right? And we, unlike typical construction managers or general contractors, I think that the typical thought is give me plans, give me specs, I'll price it, I'll build it, I'll leave. That's the model of general contracting. We're kind of the opposite of that model. We like to get in as early as possible. The second an owner has an idea, we want to be at the table so that we can be helping them with constructability, with getting their money to go as far as it can possibly go, to not waste all this time and money on design and then not get what they want at the end of the day. So through that model, we've really grown our client base, and it becomes a complete repeat business for us. So we very infrequently bid out work, and organically through the growth of the clients that trust us, our business has grown immensely.
That's insane, I think, because whenever I talk to construction guys, it's the bid process is so important, and you're putting your name in there with a bunch of other GCs or whatever your trade is. Talk to me about that it's so referral based or so, like you said, recurring.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, we have about 120 employees. We have one full-time estimator in the office.
Wow.
So our project managers do a great job of maintaining the relationships with their clients. They know the nuances of their clients. They know how they like pricing submitted. It's like any other relationship you have. There are nuances to what makes it work. Yeah. It's the same thing with our PMs and their clients. And so all of our PMs do kind of a cradle to grave setup where they're budgeting, they're estimating, they're running the project, and they're closing it out. And it just works really, really well because we're always serving the exact needs of those clients rather than swapping people out and kind of having a different model each time, which is neat.
So who is your target client? Like, who are you generally working with?
Sure. It's a great question. It's something we evaluate every single year because all of our growth metrics are really client-based. We're not chasing revenue. We're not chasing any of your typical KPIs. We want to work with the clients that we like to work with. Yeah. And that's a large number of different markets. It's not really market specific. We're looking for the client that sees the value in what we provide and wants to grow in a partnership with us. So we do work in all sectors. Right now, healthcare is huge in the Lehigh Valley. Yeah. And we've been really lucky to work with LVHN and now Jefferson for years. They've been a fantastic client. But we're in the hospitality space, doing restaurants and different things in that space, car dealerships, some pharmaceutical, Sharp and OraSure and those types of really great clients for us. Arts Quest is a fantastic local client that we are really, really lucky to have a strong partnership. Cassie and Kurt are just two of the best people, and we've been working with them for decades at this point. So really a diverse group of local entrepreneurs that's really rewarding to work with.
What I love about this is it's my similar philosophy, right? Like deep relationships. Did that come naturally, or how did you guys develop into really valuing and making sure that those relationships were strong? Yeah,
I think it's organically rooted in Sean. And then because it's organic in Sean, it's become the identity of the company and the culture of the company. And he does a great job of teaching and leading by example. And it's all about the relationship. I think we're more transparent than anybody else in the industry. Mm-hmm. And it's all about identifying from the beginning that the client's goals are our goals, right? We're not there to just make a bunch of money and get out of there or put our people to work and get out of there. We want to form a partnership and be a part of the success of that project. And through that and the way that we manage those jobs and meet those goals of the clients, it organically forms this relationship that's tighter than just a work transaction. And we call it adding them to the Boyle family. They become true friends and true partners. And it's a team effort of building these buildings as opposed to everybody's at an arm's reach and it's just a transaction.
I just want to build something now with you guys. Like, I don't have anything to build, but I wish that I did. So
figure it out. Let's do it.
It's a really cool story with Boyle, but how do you get involved in Boyle, right? Like, how does this, I know it's the family business, but did you start out in it? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. Transparently, I fought it a little bit. When I was growing up, I was surrounded by it and it was great. There were no negative impacts of the business on my childhood. It was wonderful. Sean came into my life when I was 2. He's my stepfather. Yeah. And so for all intents and purposes, raised me as my father. And I was always extremely close with him. And I give him a lot of credit for never pressuring me into family business. He never put any pressure on me. There was never any expectation I was coming into the business.
That's the exact opposite way I'm raising my children, by the way.
Both can work. But that really worked for me. And I I didn't know what I wanted. I think that's really what it came down to. I was looking to spread my wings and see what was out there for me. And so to my 18-year-old brain, that meant I was never moving back to the Lehigh Valley, and I was never going into construction, right? Those were the two things I knew for certain when I left for college.
We have very similar stories.
Do we?
Yeah. I didn't want to be near insurance. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like you, I had to try something else out. And I always kind of left the door open, right? I went into civil engineering in undergrad. I got a business major, graduate degree.
I remember you did make a mistake undergrad, right? You visited Villanova, but then you chose UD anyway.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yes, yeah. But I always kept that door open with what I studied, and then I ended up working for a large construction company in Washington D.C. for 3 years, just to say, hey, wow. Like at that point I had matured. I understood the opportunity that the family business was, right, and I couldn't just ignore it. And so I said to myself, okay, I need to try this. I need to see, one, can I be successful in the construction industry on my own? Mm-hmm. And can I go to work in the construction industry every single day? And I joined Clark Construction, and I was put on a mega project, $2 billion infrastructure project down in DC. And the project was a disaster.
Oh, wow.
It was a complete disaster. It was a joint venture. The two companies were completely culturally different. Mm-hmm. I had 3 different bosses. They all had contradicting things to tell me. But through it all, I fell in love with construction. And I also proved to myself that I could be successful. I had a really good 3 years there. And it was enough to me to say, hey, I think it's time to try this.
Yeah.
And that, I could organically make something out of it.
And there's something to be said for spreading your wings outside of the family business.
Yeah.
You get to see, both good that you can bring into your business and bad that you don't want to bring in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so were you able to do that, to take some of your learnings and bring them to Boyle?
Yeah, I was. And it was really around management and the way that they dealt with people. And again, that's one of my favorite things to do on a day-to-day basis. And I think one of the things that I do really well is to meet people where they are, connect with them empathetically, and solve problems together based on the type of person they are. And it didn't exist in that big corporate construction world. Everybody was just a number that was supposed to be being productive, and it didn't matter how they got there. And that didn't resonate with me. And that was another big reason why I wanted to go back to the family feel of a family business where relationships and people came first.
At 120 employees, you could see a world where they become numbers. How do you manage that growth with that family feel?
Yeah, transparently, it's our biggest problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are growing, and then the projects that we're doing are growing. And with that comes a different mentality and a change in process to make sure that we are dealing with those higher risk and larger dollar value projects in a way that's necessary. But at the same time, we can't lose track of what made us Boyle Construction in the first place. And that's the small family-owned business doing small work for local clients that that require a different level of service. And so we are trying to blend the two and making sure that we can still serve what made it Boyle who we are. And also, to the main point, is continue to have that family culture and feel with the people that we employ while still being a large company. It's a challenge, but I think we're doing it pretty well.
How is it coming into the family business? So you've been outside, have some experience. Do you come in as vice president? Like, where do you come in and how do you kind of fit into it?
Yeah, this was something that was really important to me, was the whole nepotism side of things. Yeah. I was really, really aware of it and really wanted to make sure that there was no perceived benefit to me, because in truth, there was not a benefit to me other than getting the job in the first place, right? I was really, really sensitive to that. So I started as an assistant superintendent in the field, really doing whatever it took. I was pounding down dumpsters. I was sweeping floors. I was wrangling, different subs here and there, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, getting home at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And it was some of the best times of my life. I mean, I'm really a big proponent of, regardless of where you're coming into a business, you have to understand every single aspect of it if you plan to run it or be at a high level in that business one day. And so working my way through the business was really rewarding. I started as an assistant superintendent and went to more of a field manager, project manager for some of our larger jobs, project executive, and now VP of operations. So I got to see both the field and the office side of how we ran the business. And I think most importantly, what the biggest challenges were for some of the mid-level people in the company, what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and what it takes to be a successful construction company and run a successful project from the field. Because a lot of times, executives that have not been in the field, they can kind of be a little bit short-sighted as far as what it really takes to do it. And I'm really grateful for my experience. And I think it also went a long way to gaining the respect of the tenured people in the company. They saw how much effort I put into all the different roles and really worked my way up. And it's gone a long way to earning the respect of the people that have been there 30 plus years.
If you could describe the culture of Boyle in 3 words.
People first, always.
Oh man, I thought you would choose 3 different words, but that's perfect. I love that. That's really good. And so I would imagine you're the sort of place where people have been there for numbers of years.
Yeah. We have amazing tenure. Not to throw stats at you, but our turnover is 4%, which in construction is in any industry is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Construction in particular is pretty unbelievable. We are just always people first, and that's internal, of course. But again, it goes back to client serving and even our subcontractors. I mean, one of my favorite aspects of the Lehigh Valley is the relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And that goes across all aspects of our business. And we have subcontractors that we've worked with for 30 years, and they're watching our backs as much as we are theirs. And so it goes across all aspects of the business. But for the Boyle family, the Boyle people, it truly is a family. You say family-owned business, and yeah, everybody knows what that means. But I really do think we embody a culture that makes everybody that works for us feel like they're legitimately a part of that family.
Yeah. What does the Lehigh Valley mean to Boyle, right? It's grown up through the Lehigh Valley. When you think about the Lehigh Valley, what does that mean to you?
It's everything. It's so unique in its colloquialism and in its tight-knit community, but this massive metropolis of growth, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the perfect incubator for a construction company like ours, because the tight-knit community and the relationship-based business kind of insulates us from some larger competition. Yeah. But the amazing growth and the people and the businesses that are in it provides so many opportunities for us to grow as a construction company while keeping it local. Because honestly, if we were working anywhere else and we wanted to continue to grow, we probably would be looking at a much larger footprint than we need to.
That was going to be my next question. Do you guys look outside the Lehigh Valley, or is there truly enough here that keeps you guys busy?
We're starting to get to the point where we have to look a little bit further outside of that diameter. But honestly, this is the first time this has ever happened. And we will travel again if a good client asks us to go to. We've gone to Ohio, Western PA, New Jersey. But we're not looking for that work. We're not searching for it. And honestly, to date, we've been so lucky to just be satisfied in the Valley.
Yeah. And how about you? I mean, you grew up in the Lehigh Valley. Talk to me about growing up here and the change that you've seen.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And, I joke before about never wanting to come back to the Lehigh Valley. I mean, it's just the most amazing place to raise a family and to have a business. And it's been so rewarding to see the growth of the Valley in total. I think of them as, 3 different boroughs, Allentown, East, and Bethlehem, and they have their own unique identities. And it's so cool to see them grow in their own ways. And I'm such a foodie. I drag my wife to every restaurant around the Lehigh Valley, and seeing the food scene just boom over these last 10 years has been awesome.
That's actually the only reason we have the podcast is to get restaurants on here so that they can bring food in once in a while. Yeah,
it's all about eating.
But you said you do hospitality work.
Yes.
Any cool projects that you've done that you want to shout out here?
Yeah, sure. George Paxos is a huge client of ours. Wonderful man. Him and his son are friends and clients, and we love working for them. And George is a very trusting and longstanding client. So we've done all of his restaurants. So Melt, Top Cut, Torre, Blue. We did one in Fire Point for him. Really cool working with major New York City designers and architects to deliver something beautiful. That's different than the normal construction.
Yeah, I mean, walk me through the process. So do you have an in-house architect, or are you getting plans? Like you said, you try to be as involved as possible. So what is that like at Boyle?
Yeah, so we have a very diverse team. So we have 3 in-house architects. Wow. We don't actually practice. So we're not actually stamping drawings. We're still hiring local architects to actually do the design. But we have their expertise for those pre-construction phases. We have in-house structural engineers. We have in-house civil engineers. So we have this very diverse background to bring to the project when it's at a schematic phase and things aren't clear defined, right? People that have experienced all of these different elements of construction and design that can really input when it comes to feasibility and cost and schedule at a very early stage. So we love getting the call early, like I said, and even if it's a napkin sketch, we can start to brainstorm ways to price it and start talking about pitfalls and timeline and help them select sites, feasibility studies to, compare one site versus another. So again, they're making the best decisions for the money they have.
Yeah. So you talked about getting up at 4 a.m, getting home at 7. I know those hours have changed a little bit, but I know that you're experiencing all this growth. And so there must be demands on your time, but I also know that, you're a family man, you have a family. How do you balance that?
It's challenging. It really is. I have a beautiful wife and a 7-year-old daughter at home, and they are my entire world. But frankly, I feel guilty regularly about the time that the business demands. And I think it's probably a common struggle that a lot of us go through, justifying the amount of time out of house and in the business as opposed to family. And thankfully, my wife is very understanding. But I also try to be intentional when I'm home. And, although I am working on Saturdays and Sundays, I also try to get home by 5 o'clock as often as possible so that we can sit down, have dinner as a family, and just be there and be present for my daughter. I put her to bed, 2 or 3 times a week. And these are formative years, and I want to be as in her life as possible.
Does she go to bed easily?
No, it's a 2-hour affair.
I was hoping you could give me answers.
I have nothing.
My youngest is 7, and still he's like, I have to hang outside the door. And
you get out of the room? I have to lay in the bed.
It's funny. And Sam, your wife, she works too, right? Like she's got her own business.
Yeah, I give her so much credit. She's kind of reinvented herself after the birth of our daughter. She was in education, took some time off to raise Quinn and deal with some health issues that Quinn had, and thank God for Sam, because it would have been a lot harder without that. But through that journey, she realized her passion for helping people through food and nutrition. And she put herself back through grad school, and she's now a certified nutrition specialist. And she focuses on women and women's health and helping them nutritionally and looking at deficiencies in their blood work throughout different times of the month and through their cycles so that they can be as productive as possible.
That's great. And I feel like that's something that is neglected often.
Yeah. It seems to be. Obviously, I'm no expert on the matter, but Sam has found this wonderful group of women in the Lehigh Valley. She's part of this group called Oasis, and it's all about women's health.
Was it Rachel?
Yeah, with Rachel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Sam will be the nutritional component to Rachel's conglomerate. So,
that's very cool.
Yeah.
So what's next for Boyle? You don't strike me as someone who's just going to sit back and relax. And you've got this growth. I mean, where do you see it headed?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting time at Boyle. We've grown immensely over the last decade, and so we're still, we're revamping the company to be the size that we are today, and that's really where my day-to-day lies. And I love that aspect of it, kind of changing the processes and the procedures to make us more efficient and to make us better. So a lot of process improvement for sure in the short term. Long term, we just today actually finalized our advisory board.
Nice.
So that's going to be a huge step forward for us as far as collaborating with some really smart people. It's a national group. It's not just a local group. So really great ideas that I think are going to propel us to the next level. It's tough. We get this question a lot, and the common answer is expected to be around revenue growth or something like that. And honestly, that's not how we view strategic planning. We're, like I said earlier, we're really client focused. So finding that perfect client for Boyle and expanding upon the number that we have. And there might be some geographic growth in there. There may be some market growth or other opportunities that we pursue, but it's really just working with the clients that we like to work with 100% of the time instead of the ones we need to.
That's great to be able to be in that position to do that.
We're very lucky.
Process improvements. From a business perspective, from management perspective, they're great and they're wonderful and they make the business more efficient. Do you get resistance from staff as you try to implement these? And please give me your answers on how you do it successfully.
Yeah, all the time, especially when we do it poorly. So learning as we go, software implementation has been the bane of my existence for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just because we didn't know enough about what the changes were going to be after we changed the software. And it's entirely on me and the change management team, which was just me for 2 years. So doing a better job of biting off smaller pieces. I have all these ideas of where I think we need to go, and that's all great. But fundamentally, people can't handle changing 7 things at once, right? So biting off small pieces, doing it in a prioritized order, trialing it in a controlled setting so that you can see what happens in a small space as opposed to company-wide, and then having a very clear plan for documenting it and training it and rolling it out.
But something you just did right there, I think, is really important and speaks to who Boyle is. It was your humility in admitting that you were the one who made the mistake. And my staff knows I'm very willing to admit when I make a mistake, but I think it buys you a little bit, right? Like it lets them know that you are a human and that you're trying to make their lives better ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a function of growth and changing things is it's not going to go well. So rather than hiding behind something and saying, it wasn't a mistake, you have to own it. And the part of owning it and understanding what's working and what isn't is giving everybody a voice to give you feedback on what isn't working. And that has been a challenge with us being so large and being a little bit of fragmented with office and field. I was very sensitive to how this was impacting everybody, the changes that we were making. So we actually had focus groups come together from all different roles to give their feedback on how Boyle has changed over the last 10 years, what's working, what isn't. And we're in the process of making some changes based on that feedback.
Did you go to some sort of management school? Because the way you talk is so articulate and intelligent. I'm just sitting here like, what does my staff think of me? Because you are so well spoken about these. Yeah.
No, I have not. It's just passion for the business. I think as I've matured over the last really 5 years, I just have had a lot of clarity around what I want the business to be. And it's easy to speak about when it's clear. That's
beautiful. All right. I'm taking notes here. We're like almost out of time, which makes me sad. But I've got a couple things I want to do.
Sure.
The first is this is season 4, and we are sponsored by the Swiftwater Hotel in the Poconos. It is really one of the nicest places in the Poconos. You go there and you can get, I forget what it's called, but you get your own private room, and it's got a built-in pool in the room. They have a beautiful pool. Everything is top notch there.
Check it out.
And so it's the best vacation you could take. So, Dylan, what was the best vacation you ever took?
I'm going to have to say Italy last year.
Okay.
Unfortunately, everything always comes back to business. So I can't say it was just vacation. But Boyle is part of a captive insurance program. So we're homogenous captive.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk insurance.
I figured we had to go there. So we're with about 250 other general contractors from all over the country. And so we have board meetings twice a year. And one of those is in July, and it's usually in Europe. So I was able to bring my wife this time, and we spent 3 wonderful nights along the coast of Cinque Terre.
Wow.
And fell in love with that more northern coast. Most people know Amalfi, but I love Cinque Terre. You can actually hike between the villages. You're a dad, so you must have seen Luca with your kids.
Yeah.
That's all Cinque Terre, where they're from. So just beautiful little villages. And then we went to Rome for the actual board meeting and had all the wonderful history of what Rome brings. So,
and you got to talk insurance.
And we got to talk insurance, like 2 full days.
I understand how that would be the best vacation.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that is beautiful. And getting that time away with your wife, is something that it's easy to forget to do, I think, when you're so busy with the business.
Yeah, it is. And it's so important to be intentional. And, with raising a wonderful child and Sam with her blossoming career and me with the business, it's tough to do. And so to have 7 uninterrupted days of the 2 of us connecting, it was fantastic and really, really much needed.
Good. All right. So what's next for you? I mean, is there anything that we didn't hit that you want to hit? Anything we should have talked about?
Yeah, I just everything in this stage of life for me is trying to figure out how to be the best person, the best version of me that I can be. And so
does that go beyond work? Like
it does. Yeah. I want to be, so I've gotten into running recently.
Okay.
And I love it. I ran this morning. I'm thinking about my next run tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've found a lot of peace in running. It's given me discipline. I'm really, interested in my own health, physical health as well. So I've gotten a lot of benefit out of that. But I think more importantly, it gives me a mental clarity and I'm more present than I've ever been, both in work and at home. And that's what I want to focus on in the future is being as present as possible in every situation that I'm in, so that I can get as much out of those situations and give as much as I possibly can, whether it's Quinn, my wife, the rest of my family, or work.
I love that. I have been trying to do that as well, and I find the cell phone so disruptive for that.
Yes.
So I've really tried to make it a point to just leave it in my bedroom when I get home so that I don't see it for the rest of the night. And I don't know, have you found that to be a struggle, or are you?
Immensely.
Yeah.
And again, I give Sam all the credit. She's so aware of it, and she's so much better at putting it away than I am, but I definitely need to work on getting the cell phone out of my hands.
Because my emails are there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, good. Dylan, I can't say thank you enough for coming on.
My pleasure.
This was so good. Boyle is such a part of the Lehigh Valley, and I think it's clear why. You exemplify kind of the virtues of the Lehigh Valley, and it's great to see the success you guys are having.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, Jimmy.
Absolutely. See ya.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the YMI Talking podcast. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more content from amazing personalities in the Valley, please subscribe, leave a rating, and drop us a quick review.